Go on then. Talk.
Oh, this is just from Malcolm, isn't it? Here's your graphs, mate. From, I don't know what we got. 3 rows at the back. That's from the stuff that we cut. And that's all the stuff that you and Thomas cut and sent up.
Lovely little plants.
Before you show Thomas, make sure he's got a very large roll of something absorbent.
This is my favourite.
Another one.
This is one of my favourites.
I like it.
I'm going to invite you a club.
What's it called? Cryptomeria raisin. Oh, I like raisins.
There's got to be a raisin for it. Yeah.
See, Alec, I'm about to give him water as well.
The Royal Horticultural Society have said we are in crisis. The industry is lacking youngsters coming through. This is Eggleston Hall Gardens, and over the next 12 months we're going to take you on a journey of what it's like to run a nursery garden. Go on. This is filming, you
allowed
know.
morphine. What, you filming?
Yeah.
Right, well this, just to show Laura what it goes like, this is Cryptomeria, as she calls it, raisin.
And how do you say it properly?
I say raisin.
Brasson.
But, you know, I
think I like raisin better.
I say raisin. I call it our raisin. But yeah, it's a very nice one. It's upright, but not at the same time. That makes any sense. The plant itself is upright, but has these lovely pendant branches.
Why are you fondling it? It's very tactile, isn't it?
Tactile, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I just think of another word.
It is particularly nice.
Yeah, and it's only actually been in probably 5 years now, and it has probably trebled in size. So it's certainly a quick beastie, but I think it is really nice. In the right spot, I don't think you can really go wrong with it.
It always reminds me of Bob Marley's hair. You probably don't know who Bob Marley is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Although
Bob Marley, that was him who invented reggae, wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if he invented it, but he was a reggae musician.
If that was him, he invented reggae and weed.
Reggae and weed.
Reggae, weed and dreadlocks.
Yeah, no, but
Wasn't
he was
the first person who ever did all the three.
What religion was he? Rastafarian, and I
That's
think
the one. He invented Rastafarianism as well.
I don't know. Did he invent it? I don't think he invented it, but I think he partook of it because I think it's okay to smoke weed in
I
there.
wonder what Bob Marley would think now if he would look back on the world and see all these like mid-20s white people with dreadlocks, whether he'd shed a bit of a tear.
Do they have white people with dreadlocks?
Yeah.
Do they?
Yeah.
I've never seen any of it. Well, I don't get out much.
It's basically just a signal like, yeah, I smoke weed, I'm cool.
Is it?
Yeah, that's about it.
You don't have to grow your hair
If there's
long.
any people watching this who are white and have dreadlocks, just stop it, will you? Just look
Don't
at
do
yourself
it.
in the mirror one day and just think, this is me.
Hey, we're getting a bit political here. We're getting into trouble.
No political about dreadlocks.
And religion. Don't do politics or religion. You get into trouble. Somebody had a moan at me last week. Suggested I was anti-American. Certainly am not.
Ah, look at the belly on you. You're very like really true
Don't
to
be
the
horrible.
Americans. Power to the Americans.
What's wrong with my belly? There's nothing wrong with it.
No, it's not, to be fair.
That's the camera that's making it look bad. Look at that. That is Inula magnifica. and it has the most large, huge leaf. Look at this. Look at the size of this. Look, hang on a minute, Thomas. Just. Oh God, I can't.
Hang on a minute.
Can you get one off and just show the size of the leaf?
I can get a leaf off, not necessarily one off.
Right.
I won't get one off. Won't slip on you.
That is an enormous thing. But it's a great big leaf, great big plant. And on the top of it is the most pissy little fucking daisy. Yeah, look at that, look at that. Look, it doesn't get much bigger than that, it just goes orange. Quite a few of them, but they're only little. I find it a very disappointing plant. You know?
Like Adam and Eve, if Adam were well endowed.
You could do a privet edge would do, a privet leaf would do you. Cover yourself up. One would have hoped you two would get your scabby asses out of bed. We're going to get some rabbits. We have. It's time for work. Who wants to go to work? Come on then, let's go. I'm not getting a hint of enthusiasm, Finn. All right. This is a little plant. You catch me at the moment, week 31, with my fingers in Donna. This is a little Hebe called Donna, and I'm just potting it up. One of the ways my old head gardener used to pot up stuff, used to pot up plants, was to get the pot that they're coming out of and just sink it in here like this. Can you see this from way back there? Yeah, sink it in there like that and overfill it. Tamp the pot down and then pull the pot out and drop the plant in. Job done. Simple, eh? Week 31. I cannot fault the unusualness or the impression of this holly. This is Ilex Lichtenthalii. It has the most beautiful leaf. It's I've shown it before, but it's just put on this lovely fresh growth, and it makes this lovely pyramid shape. I think it's one of the nicest hollies you can find. This is Viburnum retidiphyllum. Last autumn it was maybe 12 foot tall. So we cut it, or I cut it, in something of the Barningham butcher, and you can see where it was cut back there to about 12 inches. It's now put on about 3 to 4 feet. It's a plant that really responds well because it can get way out of hand. The festoon apple is doing well. It needs its summer pruning soon, so we're going to have to start. And the Amplexicorlis, Persicaria Amplexicorlis. It's a lovely thing. We've seen it with the dock-like leaves, but the bees on it, and wasps. But they're doing really, really well. I've noticed that wildlife this year seems to be more abundant. I think it's to do with the lockdown. I think it's going to have a huge impression on people's lives. Perhaps we'll all see that we don't have to run around like headless chickens all the time. In our society, I mean, it's easy for me to say, wandering along in this garden, which some would see as a paradise. I mean, if you work in it, it can become a gilded cage. But it's one of those things that, you know, we just have to take stock and look at the world we're creating and spend more time re-greening it and doing our infrastructure so that we're using technology and just using technology to our benefit, rather than just using it to find different ways of making money and killing people, which is what it's historically always seemed to have done. But we have this great opportunity to say, okay, we've had this virus, let's all start working a bit less. Let's spread the workload out and have more leisure time, enjoy time with our families and creating, and become more creative and make things and build for the future. We've got to see this as an opportunity. I know that sounds a bit preachy, but if we don't, we're just going to live on our knees, wearing our masks and running around worrying about everything and trying to stave off what I consider the inevitable. We're going to have to learn to live with this virus. We have to see it as an opportunity. Alright, that's all my preaching over. I'll do a few smutty stories, balance it up a bit. Look at that bird there. What's it doing? Preening itself. You poser. Look at it. Not even sure what it is. Are you a spadgy? Sparrow or a dunnock? I reckon he's got fleas. You got fleas? You scratty bastard.
I've moved a few things from up the wall just because I can't fit to, like, you know, spread the other plants that I want up there really out properly, so I've had to move a few things down here. And this is a lovely little shrub.
Little Hydrangea.
Yeah, pink poppet. I think, did I pot this up? I remember potting this up. And they've got lovely, you know, long pink flowers this time of the year in late summer. I think it grows about like 60 centimetres in height, but it's just lovely to have in your border.
60 cents, a little dwarf. You can put it at the front.
Yeah, it's lovely. For late summer colour, and I like the long flowers. And there's also another one, which is black and white.
That is really nice.
I don't know, I prefer the pink flowers in a way, but I really like because the leaves are very
the foliage gets really dark on that one.
Yeah, dark.
That's another little
purple.
dwarf, isn't it?
With
what
white.
height does that grow?
I think it grows about the same, yeah. It's a dwarf variety though.
Little dwarf Hydrangeas. There's some more of your pink poppets over there.
Yeah, and some black and white also. Hey Pepper, what you doing? She's looking for those mice.
Right, so we're back with some more nibs, and this one I've got turtle head. It is Chelone obliqua. It's got the common name turtle head just because of how the flower looks, but I've also it's a really pleasant flower. Looks much like a foxglove flower really. Very easy to grow plant, grows well. Prefers dampest soil and seems to grow pretty happily in shade where this one is growing, and it's quite easy to dig up and propagate because it just sort of runs pretty close to the surface. So what I'm going to do is try and separate some of these bits off. I'll do just loosen them off a bit and you can just part it relatively easily. All I'll do is just tidy it up, and it'll, again, this is another one, it'll just break away from just at the base of the stem. I'll cut it back just leave it with a pair of leaves probably, because you can see actually some of them how they've got. This one's got a little, well, I'll get rid of that. It's got a little few running on a big long route that it's ran by, so all I want to do is reduce that. Again, go down to just a pair of leaves. And then these will just be for next year now, because I mean these ones haven't flowered yet, but with things that flower later on, like when I was doing the helianthus, as I said, it's hard to predict how some things will sell, so we don't want to find ourselves selling out of this once the flower and not being able to do any, so just sort of doing some now just to sort of preempt that really, because like I said, it is a pretty easy plant and grows anywhere, and also it is quite funny to call it a turtle head. And I probably do because people are bored of nibs now, I think.
Go on then, Clara, explain what you've been doing.
Right, so along this south-facing wall, we have many different, mainly shrubs, like cornus, berberis, you can see, many like hydrangea.
Go on then, let's take a walk.
So, I've been taking all these plants like out with their pots, of course, and then because this has been covered in like dead apples, leaves, weeds, all sorts, so I've been taking the weeds out, just giving it a quick brush, and then putting the mould back while I weed the pots also. And then I just make sure they're spread out so they're so all the leaves can get enough sunlight. And I've been prioritising, so I've been bringing a lot of the plants up here down there, which need more sun, because usually during, well, all of the morning, all of this is in shade, but this is sun most of the day, well, all of the day. So, you know, plants that need full sun down there, because otherwise they'll end up, the leaves will get really crispy, and they just won't really thrive as much.
Yeah, but it's looking very nice. I see you've given it all a bit more space as well.
Yeah, because you can see how these have cistus have sort of grown, like trying to grow out to get some sunlight. So now they're going to be a lot more happier. So all the leaves down there, which are normally in shade, can actually get light. Because you see how they've gone a bit yellow where they haven't got light.
That's cystitis. Not cistus.
So,
Nor is it cystitis, which is
nobody really asked me for
a
it,
disease of the or an infection of.
I thought that. I was just.
Sometimes it used to be called the honeymoon disease or something.
And it's been lovely working. It's taken a bit of time, but you know, you need to take time and do the best that you can. Then just do a quick rubbish job.
You tell them, Clara.
Yeah, and also I've been, because there's quite a few plants like under the blackberry, which is not very good, especially when customers try to get in there and get a plant and they end up hurting themselves on the. So you have to think about health and safety also while you're working in the nursery.
Health and safety.
It's all about health and safety. I've been doing lots of essays on that for my coursework.
Oh, Christ.
So, and these all sort of prefer more like semi-shade, or sometimes any position. Just depends.
Some things like it in any position.
Yeah, which is really good. It's really useful. But just so all sorts. Philadelphus, viburnum, and then these over here. These were so weedy. So many weeds, and yeah, we don't want weeds in the pots because otherwise they take nutrients out of the pots.
Do they?
Well, out of the the soil.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But actually we want that all the nutrients to go with the plants that we're actually trying to grow, not the other weeds. So this is Aesculus hippocastanum. This is just a common horse chestnut. I grew them last year from little conkers that Malcolm gave me. And some of them didn't really survive, you know.
Well, the bloody squirrel had them.
Yeah, so I
Field
went
day.
through all of them, and then those, I think there's some peonies along there that Malcolm sown. So some of them are alright.
And this is all looking good, Clara. It's
Yeah,
looking excellent.
I wanted to give the hydrangeas a little bit more space, but that's alright. They're alright. Yeah, so I was so weedy though. I'm so happy. Spaced them out and they don't look messy anymore. We've got pyracantha.
Rhododendrons.
The rhododendrons I've weeded all.
Azaleas.
Oh, don't look at this weed. Sorry, there's only one. I'm sure I went through
What?
them all.
Look at that. There's a f***ing weed in there.
Yeah.
That's it. You're sacked now.
I've been. Look, it's great having long legs. It's so great having long legs. I've just been like doing this all one way. But yeah, well, you know, but look at those apple trees, all long. Do you know how old they are exactly? I don't really know.
Yeah, they were planted about 1880.
Yeah,
so it makes them about 140 years old.
You know, it's like being on a radiator for them over here, which is why they're still producing an abundance of, you know, fruit, and all the customers keep walking by and saying, "Oh, I love your apple trees."
Abundance.
And we've got a few plums, we've got some pears, we've got some green gages. I think 3 green gages.
The green gages are actually very, very nice.
Oh, they're so nice. Like,
they appreciate that.
later in August.
You remember them
September.
from last year, do you?
Yeah,
You
because
stuck your face on them.
sorry, Mrs. Gray. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay, you know. I bet because not all the birds and everything. They're not like, you know, gonna eat them all. So.
Not if you get there first.
Yeah, I don't have many. They've had so many.
Hey.
But
I've got
I
a
love
question
green
for you.
gages so much. What?
I've got a question for you. What do you mean, what? What?
So no,
It's
I
a
mean,
sensible question.
what do you mean?
There's some green gages, look. Look like a bad case of hemorrhoids. Oh, look at them.
Are
Yeah.
these green gages?
Yes,
Yeah,
they're
they
green
look
gages.
really-
They're not ready yet. You can tell by the shape of them, although there are some plums, but I happen to know this is a gauge tree. Look at that in there.
It's so nice.
Yeah. You don't eat them at the moment, they give you the shits.
And this is.
I still got a question for you. How?
I can't speak today. I'm so capsara. Look at that. It's like hanging curtains. Like,
Yeah, but what about my question?
What's your question?
How does it feel to be nearly 18?
Feels good because I can do, you know,
Stuff.
more things like throw pine cones at Thomas's down below.
Yeah, you can also drink beer, which is the more important.
Oh, it's legal. Well, I don't know about beer. Well, but I don't know. I want to try Pims though.
Pims.
Like I like fruity things.
That's because you're from a posh family, you see. That's a posh thing, Pims.
Yeah.
It's got cucumber in it, you know.
And look at these are buddleias.
That is lovely, isn't it? Look
So
at the
nice,
size of
the
that.
butterfly bush.
Yeah.
Butterflies will be loving. I haven't really seen many butterflies up here though. It just get quite windy. And the
I don't think you should be fondling that quite like that, Clara. It's like getting
This
perverse
is what I
now.
mean when I'm 18. I should get a proper boyfriend. Even though, you know, if there's any boyfriends out there, give me a call.
God. I think this is a dating agency. Well, over the bench, that would be quite useful. That's actually recording, so you'll be alright, don't worry about that.
Malcolm, you've started already. I was going to suggest we did a polite one.
Well, no, I was going to, over the bench.
Oh, right. Oh,
Film
I
it over
see
the
what you're
bench.
saying.
What did you
Oh,
think I mean?
I'm so sorry, Malcolm. I thought less of you than I should have done.
Exactly, I'm offended.
And rightly so.
So, have you ever done dropping?
Well, we've
dropping,
all done
have you
it,
dropped
haven't
anything?
Not recently.
Right, this is an old method of propagation called dropping. There's another method called mounding, which is like the opposite, but we'll explain that in a minute. This is a little willow. You could use a hebe, or you could use lavenders, all sorts of plants you can do. And what we're going to do is just strip off these bottom leaves. Just run your hand down and strip them off. When you strip them off, it exposes a bit of the cambium. the cambium, yeah. Yeah, that's the green layer behind a growth. This is already green, but if you scratch it, you can see that it's green underneath.
Ooh.
Normally this bark would be brown.
Oh.
I haven't got anything to show you with it at the moment, but the cambium is the green layer of cells beneath the bark, or the rind, or the whatever people in different countries call it. So we're just going to strip these off and just expose that cambium. Now, if it's a hard to root thing, like well, not hard to root, but a more difficult plant, you can just put a bit of hormone powder on them. Another method is just to scratch them. If you can just scratch them like this, and like this. You're just exposing a bit of that green, those green cells, because they're the things that will
Cambium.
will produce the roots, or it will callus over and turn into roots. A little paintbrush, bit of hormone powder. I won't get any of this on you, Amanda. You don't need any hormone, do you?
I was starting to think it
You
might
might.
explain some of your behaviour. Do you always have a packet of that in your trousers?
I do.
Right.
You never know when you need some hormone powder.
Right. Can I just show the viewers what it is?
Yes, it's called Strike, and it's hormone rooting powder. All right, so we're just going to do that. You don't have to do that. It just helps with a little bit of the... So now we've got a pot. This is quite a deep and old David Austin rose pot, but it could be anything. I'm going to take this out of here, and we're going to put 2 or 3 inches of compost in the bottom of the pot. Not too much. There we are, see?
Oh, yes.
Right, and then we're just going to drop this in there, so it's way too deep. Can we have a look at that?
Is this why we're calling this video droppings?
Yes, dropping.
That's quite a relief.
What did you think it was going to be?
I was worried.
You were worried?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to be worried here, do I? And then we're just going to backfill it and try and press it down a bit more. So you're looking for all of these shoots, the wounded parts, to be buried beneath the surface. It's a very, very effective way. Now this is a willow. Willow is quite easy to do, but this is an even easier way of doing it. And keep it well pushed down. You used to do it outside. The Victorians were very keen on doing things this way. They used to do a lot of roses like this as well, and they wanted them to clone them onto their own roots.
So will that work with any plant?
I don't know any plant, but I can't see why not. And there you are. So what's going to happen there is, it's effectively a form of layering. So these should root where we wounded it. We might take off 1 or 2 more little things. And there we go. Run that down there. And that's all we need. You could, if you wanted to, nip out these growing points if you want a bushier plant, but you can do that later. Mounding is exactly the same thing, but you put your plant in and then you just mound up the soil with a hoe around it. That's not effective to do in a pot. What you have to do, you can't really do it like that, but this is a very old and very effective method, and I have no doubt that all 6 of these plants will by spring be rooted through.
Shall we come back in spring and have a look?
Yeah, we will do. Well, maybe not, because I'm going to look a dick if it don't work. I haven't said they will.
We'll find one that has
we
worked.
will come back in spring,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's it.
All right. It's been a joy.
Have you enjoyed that?
I really have.
Are you satisfied now?
I think so. And if you cut the front bit off it, I think we've kept that pretty clean.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a pity. And this is a nice little plant. Can be dried, I believe. This is Verbena rigida. I know it's fashionable to have the Verbena bonariensis, and it's not dissimilar. And you can propagate it the same way, just by stem cuttings. It's a nice splash of purple. I think it's purple. You call that purple? I don't know. Not very good at colours. Hello.
So today, no, this afternoon, I've been weeding all these hollies because they're full of so many different weeds.
Right.
Yeah, but I know that I haven't weeded the mypex because that will take forever, just because we need to prioritise the plants first.
Yeah.
So I've
Yeah.
done my best. I mean, I've got quite a few scratches. Remember to wear something like thick, like long sleeve wool, even though that still goes through a material or something, you know, that protects your arms, because otherwise I've got a few scratches, but I'm quite warm today. It's quite warm, so.
That's why you're half naked.
Well, I actually haven't worn this top. I normally wear a t-shirt. I'm normally, if I'm honest, I'll come tomorrow. Yeah, like covered. But Liz, you know,
Are you
dresses
joking,
like
Clara?
You didn't bring up her shirt, did you?
I did.
Yeah, I did, because I'm trying to
Yeah,
be,
put the blue
I'm trying to be, you know. Anyway,
It'll bring all these old farmers in from round about. Just have a look.
I love that. Oh,
What are you doing?
Bored.
It's a lovely evening. I'm hanging back late because I have a lot of irrigation to do. It's a little on the breezy side, but never mind, you can't have it all, can you? The girls have been making, Elizabeth and Christine have been making a great job of sorting out the perennials. So many gaps, you know, you don't realise how many gaps build up. Last weekend I brought a load of young shrubs down to the sales area. Just those that are looking colourful. Sometimes people don't want to go right up to the top of the garden on the top wall, or they don't realise they're there. A couple of nice things to look at. This is Hydrangea grandiflora. I think this one is Annabelle, yeah. Lovely big heads of flower. It's a really good doer. Their paniculatas are doing fine. This is another interesting hydrangea. I grow it, but I don't grow it. I've never actually grown it to fruition. I've just propagated it. This is Hydrangea quercifolia, the oak-leaved hydrangea. All the paniculatas that have become the most sexy plants, they really are building up their heads of flower. And we'll come back and look at these as the year progresses, or as the next few weeks progress, because they are so nice. They have such a long flowering period, it makes them really, really attractive. This apparently is vanilla fraise. It will turn white and then back to pink. It's an interesting plant. Conifers. And Thomas has been working on the shrub beds, starting to clear them and, you know, consolidating things up, and then you realise just how much you've turned round, how much stock you've sold, because you consolidate up and everything looks tidier, and then you suddenly realise, oh, I've got 2 beds there that I didn't know I had. But there's plenty of other stuff in the stock beds to come down. This is, we looked at this earlier and it's coming to flower now. This is Galtonia candicans, the summer hyacinth. These are about 3 foot tall. Obviously, like I always try and explain, when things are grown in pots, they will always look a bit stragglier and not as full. Another paniculata. This is a smaller growing one. There was a very popular one called Limelight, and this is a slightly dwarfer one called Little Lime. Not fully in flower yet, but they spend such a long time in bud that they really are worthy garden plants. They're very, very good. We've nearly sold out of Alpines. Got a few Alpine phlox left. And look there, there's some erodiums. They're a nice little spreading front of border or rockery plant. Helianthemums, we had 600 last year. That's the arse end of them. There's a few over there, so probably 100 left, 150. 3/4 have gone. Pulsatilla, well, they'll have to be processed. Just haven't got round to everything I would want to get round, and it's mid-July now, and I really need to concentrate on propagation. We'll come into this tunnel. Here we are, Desfontania. There's the leaf. Looks like a holly, doesn't it? And there's the flower. Desfontania spinosa. The plant has suffered this year. We're going to have to do some work on it to bring it back round. But it's a strange thing. It's very prickly. I believe it comes from Chile. These are the house leeks that we did earlier. You probably remember. I think we did them 2 or 3 weeks back, and they've already, I mean, anything I say now would be beneath me. This is where that looks like it belongs. Yep, just other bits and pieces in here growing on. Sedums, hookeras. They're so far behind with the hookeras there. Hardy fuchsias, these have been selling quite well. This is one of my favourites. It's not in flower yet, but this is Sharpitor. It's a nice variegated hardy fuchsia. This is that great big purple lupin. We have to take the lupin seed in quite soon. And there are some lavenders and rosemaries. I'm doing quite a lot of those because the garden centres won't be able to import them soon from Holland. If they can now, I'm not sure. Here we are, a plant within a plant. There's a maple called filigree, I think. And through it is an adenophora. I haven't had the heart to take it out. It's a campanula family. But yeah, adenophora. I don't know which variety, or which species, sorry. I did quite a few. There was one beginning with a T. I'll try and remember before I edit this thing. People get sniffy, you know, right? It's sniffy about potentillas. They think, potentilla in the garden. How about this? Look at that. That's been in flower for ages. There's another one there. And there's a paniculata. And there's another potentilla. And another one. They're perfectly all right. They're nice. And that is a miscanthus. I put that in there because it just happens to be one of mine. These here were the little Alpines that we did last year. And you saw me potting on earlier in the year. They're looking really nice now. Nice hummocks, little mounds. And they're going to flower like hell next year. There's not many left actually because we've sold really quite a lot of them. But I'm very, very pleased with how they come out. Where's he gone? Oh, there you are.
The ones that you're doing at the moment will look like that in a year's time.
Yeah. I hope so. Come on then, let's have a look at your nibs.
Look at my nibs, this is a nib update.
Do you want to see his nibs?
I'll see my nibs. Right, one button down. Right, we'll start off with some of the older nibs. Here we've got the Nepeta Blue Dragon.
Yeah.
See that shooting away very well, I think.
That wasn't done that long ago, was
No,
it?
it looks like clearly it does better from divisions than from cuttings. This was done 10th of the 7th. 10th of July. That's not long ago at all. Clara, what are you doing?
I'm not doing anything. I'm with the
She's
dogs.
alright, you're quite safe. 10th of July, that's... Oi, oi, get out of there, you little bastard.
Bloody dogs are liberty. Haven't even got the rabbit yet.
No.
And then I'm getting...
Them foxgloves are ready for moving up, aren't they?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
very
are.
good.
Is those Polymonium, I think you filmed doing, Malcolm, as well. Bowls.
When were they done?
Lambrook Mauve, not Bowls Mauve.
Oh, I did them, didn't
21st of June.
I? Did I do those?
Yeah, you did them, so you're all right in.
It was about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah. Very unlike you. You wrote the date on and everything. Normally don't do
Yeah,
that.
cheeky bugger.
No, it doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. It's on the burden when we don't know when they've been done. And the
Probably because
Brunnerer.
you reminded him.
I wasn't even in that day.
Ah.
Did it of his own. There's the Brunnerer that I did. Brunnerer Dawson's White.
Yeah, there's a nice bit of root growth coming there.
Grown away nicely, as I'd say. Isn't that right, Malcolm?
Nicely.
Grown away nicely. And then...
I don't trust her. hanging
I don't
about
trust her. She hangs
there.
around.
I'll get between you and
She hangs
her.
around like a fart in a lift.
Let's have a... Oxeye daisies.
Oxeye
Yeah, they
daisy.
weren't done long ago.
No.
A couple of weeks back.
Probably
13th.
13th.
Yeah.
Not long ago at all.
Wow.
Where we at now? The 30th?
30th.
30th. Oh, because her birthday tomorrow, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Alpine.
Yeah. Tomorrow, you're 18.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that then?
Very good. Bit off target.
There's Alchemilla erythropoda. Again, I think that was done same day. Same as Oxeye daisies. Then the Veronica gentianoides. This gentianoides robusta. I've actually just brought a bit of rose clear, tidy these up because they've actually got a bit of mildew, but I'm not too bothered really. I'll just do them at
The
this
thing
time of year,
is
just
that
tidy them up.
this is a really good way of doing it because they've got the rest of the season to grow on, and then you start potting up a really strong plant next
Yeah,
year.
so it's ready for a decent plant for in the spring to pot up
Yeah.
to be saleable.
What's that?
Lamia morvala, although I'd put a lot of money they haven't rooted in yet,
Yeah, it'd be
But
residual sap.
still
probably.
growing.
Yeah.
Then,
Let's hope the buggers die. Can't stand the plant.
then
Oh,
there's a
don't you
little-
start? You don't like it, do you?
Well, anyway, my the delphiniums that I did for
Yeah.
What's that?
Potentilla vernonana.
Vernonana.
Vernonana. Vernonana.
Vernonana. Vernonana.
And then
Wee.
the Diaphyllopersonans, as you can see from being taken out of the cuttings, put under here. I think there's only that little one there that maybe suffered a bit. All the rest are really quite
They're
happy.
doing really well. Well done, Thomas. What's that over there that's growing up?
They're the phlox, clouds of perfume.
Oh, they're doing all right, aren't they?
Yeah. They're on again. That might just be a bit of residual, but they were done a couple of weeks ago, so.
Tuck. Tucker. Oi. What do you think?
I think I'm bored. I want to go home now for chicken dinner.
Is there any roots on your campanulas yet?
Nah, there won't be yet.
When did you do them?
Last week, or week before.
Hmm.
I can always have a look, but
No, there wouldn't be any on them. They've hardly had any time, have they?
yeah.
I thought you did them this week, actually, because I was being...
22nd, yeah, that's last week, isn't it? Yeah, nothing there yet, but
There will be.
give them time.
We'll have a look back late in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, we'll keep giving the updates on the nibs. Because as you can see there's a lot of stuff like the Alpine, the Flomis and Centauri, although it's all very lush and fresh new growth, it is probably the growth, like Mom says, the residual, because they were all done last week, so they won't have rooted or got themselves established yet. Yeah.
Well done, Thomas.
Alright. And the next process will be in a few weeks' time, taking stuff out from under the cloth when it's rooted and putting it in the sun.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, the cloth not far off being full.
No. We're going to need the space because there's still more stuff to do. So you're going to start on these apples tomorrow, Clara?
Yeah.
You can do another demonstration on there if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Put some clothes on though, will you?
Yeah. I'm not going to wear this though. Be more ladylike.
Oh, you're not in till late because you're having your hair done?
What? About by 10 o'clock.
All right.
So I'll be on time at least, hopefully not a bit late.
You're having a frizz job, aren't you?
No, curly. I've never had it curled properly, even though my hair's
You don't need curls. You don't need anything done to your hair. It looks nice. That's enough compliments now. The things I've been on about before is this A to Z of apple of ours and how we do not need to grow bush dwarf apple trees on dwarfing rootstocks. It's always been my contention you get a better quality fruit. I just get me breath. It's a hot day and I've just walked up the garden. It's right. Yeah, so you can see these would normally grow around about 15 feet. At the moment they're about 6 to 7 feet. And we keep them that way by summer pruning. I've explained 20 odd years ago when 25 years ago when I came here, these trees here were about 3 times the height they are. So that's quite, it shows you what can be done if you reduce the stock.
Having a fashion show today.
Yeah, I am.
Clara's having a fashion show, yeah.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh God.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Clara. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, wasn't that nice?
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
That's very nice.
Can you just hang on with the motor a minute while Clara explains what she's doing?
So I'm summer pruning the apple trees. It's the 31st of July, so the last week of July. And basically, what we do, you see all this new growth, right? All the new growth. You take it back to 2 or 3 buds. So I'll just take it back to here. Do a slant cut, so the water can slide, just run off the top and not sort of make it go like mouldy.
Slanting away from the bud, just above it.
So
Perfect, Clara.
yes, we do it for all of them. It keeps these apple trees in shape nicely, you see. And then afterwards they'll be nice and neat, and I'll be doing them because no other bugger can reach them except from me without using a ladder for the right at the top. But I do have to climb up it. But I mean, they do look small, but you know, you have to just make sure you get right in there. But they.
Right.
Yeah.
And you'll do
And
these
look at
as
all
well.
These apples too.
I know.
And then we've got all the Katie's apples, the stepovers over there.
Right. We'll go and have a
do
look at those in a
also. So you
minute.
do the exact same thing, like with everything, even on the wall this time of the year.
We just reduce the growth. But the other thing that it does, of course, is it provides more sunlight so that the fruit ripens better.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you,
true.
Clara.
Okay.
And these here are the stepovers that we use. You can see they've had a reasonable amount of fruit on. The apples that Clara was talking about, the Katie's, are in the middle here. This is an arbour I was training, but I actually stupidly didn't use a strong enough rootstock. Never mind. So it's not quite going to reach the top. I thought it would. See, even the best of us make mistakes, and I make a lot of them. And yeah, it's got a good crop of apples on. You can see it's just we don't bother thinning. It's a nice apple, Katie. You can eat it straight off the back. And some of the other varieties, we have dealt with all this before, but I'm putting it in because it's part of our year, and I can't chronicle this year on the nursery garden without sticking it in. But as Clara showed you, these will all get cut back. Although she said 2 or 3 buds, I would take them back to 1 or 2. But it doesn't really matter as long as you are building up that spur system.
I won this battle, and there was no spades lives cost in the process. I'm going to show you, this is the cephalaria that me and Liz had a look for the other day that I'm going to be nibbing down, and just to show people why it's such a beggar to get out. Look at the size of that. That is all just root there. Can't span it with one hand, I'm not going to be immature. And this is why we prefer to do it now, as I've said, because it's a taprooty thing, dividing it in the winter or in the autumn or in the spring. Sometimes if it gets wet, the taproot doesn't heal properly and it could just tend to rot. That's why we prefer to do it now, so it gets a chance to heal and root it in before winter. But anyhow, I will show you how to nib it next. Thank you, Lisa. Right, and now once I've cut all the flower stems back and I've given it a very rough tidy up, this isn't how it'll finish, then it's the time for nibbing it, and from what I can tell you from doing this last year, it's not quick. So if you're bored of nibs by now, you just wait. So strap yourselves in and get ready for cephalaria nibs, because we'll be here a while. Apart from, I mean, you sometimes get some, it's just like this. This one is just set off the side, so all I'm going to do is just slowly ease it off, because obviously a lot of these, they're all attached to the main taproot. Because you can see it, that one, it just runs, it has a very fleshy root going into the taproot there. So just do that, and I'm just very careful to check that there is actually, because a lot of this root actually, these little fibrous roots are attached to these side shoots, and this is why the cephalaria works. Because you can see there, it's got this very big fleshy root that ties to the taproot, but because it's got all these little fibrous ones, they are the ones that mean it can survive. So all I'll do, I'll cut all these bits back. I'll cut them back hard because these bits, they're just going to die off anyway. And as you can see, down in there it's got a little shoot of new growth, and that's what will hopefully shoot out of the plant, ready to provide it a bit of nutrition for the rest of the year. And right, what I do, just look for an opening, and this one, I've got to say, this clump of cephalaria is much bigger than the one I worked on last year. This one has a much larger taproot. All I do, there we go, use that one apart, and again, I've got a little bit of root, there's a chance that one will work. I'm going to put these up and give them a chance, because you really do never know with plants how they will respond to something like this. Like I said, last year, I've got to be honest myself, it was a complete fluke that these worked. But you can see there actually all these little new bits of growth coming up through the flower stem, and it's got a bit of root there, so there is there's every possibility. But I could try just getting down in there. Get the thing. God, this has got maybe a chew on. Go. I love the size of that. And this is why they were so fun to dig up last year, John, weren't they? The cephalaria. You had to remove a few from the border because they were getting quite dense.
I think I took 5 out, so it's huge.
And then I'll follow probably that flower stem, or that old flower stem down. So I'll just slip down this side of that. Follow that right the way down. Part there. So now I'm just looking for where the strongest bits are. See, there's a bit hanging off the back here. There's another good strong eye there. And then I'll probably take these ones this side of the flower stem. And what I will do, I'll just go in from the top of the flower stem, as long as I've got a good angle at it. As I've gone right through. I wish I hadn't dug this one up now, it's a damn sight bigger than the one last year, but there we go. And that's the sort of piece, I'll actually plant that as it is. Just as a bit of, yeah, just as a bit of a, oh I can't remember what Malcolm calls it now, nursemaid or something. Just to give it a bit of nutrition going into these two little pieces of growth there. Just because, it, like I say, it has got a bit of root and it has got plenty new pieces of growth coming. And it's essentially like a massive delphinium crown bud, is how I sort of treat them. And just pop them into there. And then I shall finish off this clump by going... What do you think the chances are of this one going wrong, Lisa? Oh, sorry, I've mentioned your name. Oh, I'm getting a glare. I'm getting really glared at now. Oh, it's a good job we're too deep into filming that you're not going to stop filming, eh, Lisa? Oh, I'm in for such a telling off. Now, what I'm going to do... It's a good job I'm the first aid of how I'm using this knife, but... Something... like oh, is it? Oh, if I do say so myself, that worked out pretty well. So yeah, just like that. I'll tidy this up the best I can. There we have it, another one. So I'll hopefully get a decent number out of this clump. I think I did 30 last year and they sold out in no time, which is always surprising because it is such a big thing for the back of a border. You don't ever anticipate people have the sort of space for it, but they do. And what I'll do with this one, because that one is such a size, I'm just going to cut that bit off about there, and I'll make that do for this segment of the video if Malcolm hasn't chopped it up already. that'll do you.
This is interesting. This is the Sorbaria. I've been growing it for a number of years now, but I've never been able to keep hold of any long enough to see them flower. Yeah, Sorbaria, sorbifolia. I assume it means sorbus or mountain ash-like leaves. And that's the flower. Yeah, it's quite interesting actually. Nice foliage. These are just young plants. But I've never really seen them flower. They've always sold far too quickly.
Right, you filming?
Yeah.
Right, so
I've been
what I'm
filming since
doing-
you've been scratching your ass.
I wasn't, for once. So what I'm doing here, these are Hydrangea paniculatas. So these are ready. I'm just caning these up because they've been quite close in together and they've started to flop a bit. But also, when they're in pots especially, because they grow so strongly and they flower so heavily, sometimes the stems can just weigh them down. But one thing that I'm also doing, which I think is quite important for people to do at home, whilst you'd maybe ideally like to do it a bit earlier, you see on the inside here there's all this like pissy wheat growth that's not really doing a lot. You get it the same with like the coloured stem dogwoods, and I can show you doing them as well. But what I think is best to do is with some of these really weak growth, just cut them out completely, just so the plant will just put all its energy and focus into the flowering growth rather than bothering with these little pissy bits. And whilst I realise the more leaf they're providing stuff for the plant, we want the plant to flower and look fantastic. So I'm just going to cut all these little rubbishy bits off. They might actually flower later on in the year, but as you can see, the size of this plant and the flowers it's got on it, this plant will have no problem selling. I mean, for Pete's sake, this plant's 15 quid. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Lisa might just about bollock me for taking any bits off that are going to flower, but at the end of the day, this plant, as you can see how many
Are you taking them
flaccid
flacids off as well?
I'm going to see what they'll look like when I cane them up. Yeah. For some of them I think are quite fine, but I will thin them off too.
Yeah.
For some of them are going to be alright. I think that one. We'll take that one off. And as you can see there where there's a bit of congestion as well, like that one's come right through, and you can see it's going to flower, but not until later. And these
rubbing, isn't it?
They'll all flower until September anyway. The Hydrangea paniculatas there.
Oh, they're good value, aren't they?
No, they flower longer than that. October. I mean the month after August. Yeah, and they really do give you a lot of bang for your buck, as they say, isn't it?
Who says that?
I don't know. It's just a saying, isn't it? And I'll apologise as well for my collar up. A lot of people think I look like a bit of a chav, but it's just a farmer thing. You do it to keep the sun off your neck, you know?
Makes good sense.
Does make sense, even if you do.
Well, you could just grow your hair long, like me.
And then
There's something distasteful about old men like me growing their hair long. Go on.
And then it's just a question of caning them up. Now, what I tend to, just to save a bit of more effort, I'll tie a couple of bits to each cane, just quite loose. Just give it a bit extra support. I'll tie it loose so you still get a bit of movement with the plant, but also if you get a very strong gust of wind, it's still going to support it and it's not going to snap off. But
yeah,
these Hydrangea paniculatas, they have this fantastic ability of being able to actually heal themselves. Like some of these bits and some of these plants down here, they've almost gone at a 90-degree angle, their growth, but they've healed again. Now we'll probably cut them off because it looks kind of ridiculous, but they really can take a battering. They're one of the shrubs that I think we can quite safely say they are bomb-proof, aren't they?
Yeah. Just going back to your the plant moving around. When a plant moves around, it actually strengthens the stem. So.
Don't want it to compete.
No, and if you truss them up too much, they look contrived, and also they can break off easier, don't they?
What do you say they look like when they're trussed up?
Like a turkey.
Like a trussed up turkey.
Yeah. I'm not a great lover of caning, but we do have to do it sometimes when we have them in pots, because when you're growing them in containers, they sort of get close together and they get a bit elongated.
You can see there, that's only 5 litre pot, that plant. It
Yeah.
is small for that plant, but don't want to pot it up now when it's going to be flowering.
Yeah.
We'll make it do the rest of this year, then it'll go into a 10 litre next year, if this plant is still left, though I imagine.
Well, we've sold so many of them, haven't we?
Yeah.
I'm going to just have a look at the ones you've done.
Yeah.
Oh, they're looking magnificent.
Yeah.
Which is your favourite?
I like Lavana. I don't know whether we have any here, but it's very similar to Kyushu. It's
Yeah.
one of the ones that's actually, it's got more of a lace cap head rather than the full mop, but it is such a clean, crisp white.
It is. I think it's the
love
nicest.
It's not dissimilar to the Hydrangea quercifolia flower.
Flower. The plant's horrible.
Yeah, the plant. I mean, down south they go mad for Hydrangea quercifolia. It is in autumn. I've got to say, it is fantastic, the shade. But yeah, these have been a bit of a beggar because the flowers are so heavy.
Would you
on
like
such
to
a small
explain
plant.
what quercifolia means?
Oak leaf,
Yeah,
quercy, quercus, folia, foliage,
yeah.
oak leaf.
It does actually look like a bit like an oak leaf.
Yeah. Well, you'd have wondered why they called it that then, Malcolm, wouldn't you?
But Lavana, you're quite right. I think Lavana. I'm sure on a previous video I was talking about Lavana
I think
being.
it is
Yeah.
really a fantastic one. But then you've got some of the fuller ones like Phantom.
Phantom's a
think
big
Phantom's
bugger. We
lovely,
had that
yeah.
at Savile, and it was a magnificent thing.
I think they're all really nice, like vanilla phrase. Some of them might just have nice and that Bobo.
Yeah,
Bobo.
Bobo. Hey, we ain't got many left, have we?
We really haven't. Considering we had 1, 2, 3, 4 beds full of them, and they were nowhere near spaced out as well as they are now.
And they ain't
I've
come into
really-
flower properly yet.
I've really spaced them. Yeah.
One of the things we have to do is permanently assess, plants that we get from another grower. Now, we don't get a lot from other growers, but sometimes we do. And this is a little Hebe. And I'm looking at that and thinking, well, you could sell it like it is, or you can just take a look at it. And I mean, look at that. That is just so full of root. There's too much root, really. So the chances, the best thing then is just to pot it on and let it grow on for a while. It's the same plant, and I'm sure I've been over this before with you, but I mean, look at it. You just have to think to yourself, well, yeah, that maybe looks a little bit over potted, but it's going to grow through. But this has got no chance of growing through. We have to water it 2-3 times a day just to keep it alive. So there is absolutely no point leaving it in there and selling it to people like that, because they're going to be disappointed if they miss out on the watering even slightly, because you get this silvery effect when something's starved of water, particularly these Hebes, and it just sets it back. As I've always gone on about keeping things moving, that applies right to when they're in flower as well, because if they get a check, it just ruins them completely and sets them back, and it takes them a fair while to recover. So I like to move them up, even if it looks like it might have been a bit overdone. But that's just, that's just the signature of an individual grower. Other people do it differently. They'll put this on a flood mat and it'll be fine. But where we don't use flood mats, well, it's not possible. We just have to keep hand watering it, and you can't overhead water it. This is one of the problems with sprinklers, because the water sits on this foliage for so long with a sprinkler, it doesn't always permeate down into the pot. And that's the same when you're watering things with a hose pipe and you're using a rose or a washing can and a rose. You have to look at the canopy of foliage, and you have to watch where it goes. You end up with a circle around the plant that's quite wet, where the edge of the leaf is, like a woodland edge almost. But nothing much going into the plant. These are just simple little things, but they are really, really important, especially when you've got thousands of plants. Well, tell us about it then. Come on.
So I grew this myself. It's quite impressive. I'm hoping it's a lemon tree, so I'm hoping that there'll be lemons.
What did you grow it from?
Just I took a seed out of a lemon and I put it in some
so
soil.
why are you hoping it will be a lemon tree?
Well, I know it'll be a lemon tree, but I'm hoping to get lemons. I thought maybe this October, so we're kind of August now.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's not very likely, is it?
Oh right, you think maybe a bit longer?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe by.
And this is the
Christmas.
pot you bought for it.
This is the pot. So I thought.
Shall we have a little look at it in the pot?
Yeah. In the pot, there it goes.
It's quite a large pot, isn't it? What do you think?
I'm optimistic. It's been the watchword of my life.
I mean, fuck me, look at that. That's like a pea on a drum, isn't it?
Are you just a little bit jealous?
Well, I am in awe of your horticultural prowess, Amanda.
I learned everything from you, Malcolm.
Well, even planting that seed.
Yeah, once over I'd have thrown that lemon bit away after I'd squeezed it, but no.
And where did it come from? Was it in your G&T? Was it? Was this in your
I don't drink
Oh, was
gin.
this in your Bucks Fizz? I say.
I'm a pint woman.
Are you?
No. But I don't really drink gin.
Yeah. Okay then.
Okay.
Let's see what we can do.
Let's
with
see
it.
what you can do.
Here we've got Amanda's little lemon tree. Now, it is too small to go in there. Too much compost and it's just not going to thrive. So we just move it up a little bit. There's not much root on it. You can see.
That's quite a lot of root. Did a damn good
We'll just
job.
put that in there and we'll just put a bit of compost around it. Actually, the compost you've got's rather all right.
Good. I got it here.
Oh, well. I thought it was rather good compost. There we are. We're just going to pot it into a little. And then here, this will be better. What we'll do is we'll get a little bit of, you need some crocks.
Crocks.
You need some crocks, yeah. You need some crocks in the bottom of the pot.
Is that for drainage?
Yes, yes. There we are. Look at this. Just some bits of old. Just some bits of old crock. We're just going to put them in there, just to add a bit of drainage. It doesn't matter, and it also to stop the grit we're going to put in, because there's no point putting it in a big pot like that, because it will just struggle. If the compost gets too wet, the plant won't be big enough to take up the moisture. So
Right.
I think we're just a little
Looking
bit more in
good.
there. And we'll sit that on there.
So can I keep this indoors the whole year round?
Well, you can put it out on your. Do you have a patio or decking or stuff like that?
A little roof garden, I'll have you know.
Oh, that's good. And this you can do this actually with Japanese maples, because very often people like to put a Japanese maple into a pot, an ornamental pot, but you don't really want to go more than one size, the next size of pot up.
Right.
In which case, we'll just put a bit of compost around there just to dress it.
So how long does it stay in there?
I would leave it there till this time next year, till the roots are till this is really rooted through this inner pot. There we are. Now you see that's got that little pot to root in. It's in an ornamental pot, and it should thrive. I've not put grit on the top because you can then judge if it's dry.
Ooh, good
Okay?
idea.
You sit it in a saucer
Yeah.
or on a little dish of some sort, so that when you do water it, it doesn't all water through.
Brilliant.
Later on, you'll probably be able to just water the grit if you wanted, because the roots will go through the bottom.
Ooh.
As I was saying, with Japanese maples, you do exactly the same. If you've got a 1 litre pot, put it into a big ornamental pot. But you can use a thicker gravel. I would ideally use a thicker gravel here, but I haven't got any. And it's only you anyway, so it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yes, it's of no moment. It's like a little miracle, isn't it?
Oh, it's a little miracle of your own creation.
I know, right?
Are you feeling earthy now? And,
It's definitely better than my
I
children.
mean, you have the build of Mother Earth.
You're so charming. Thank you for doing that,
I think
Malcolm.
that was a compliment.
Oh, was
actually.
it? Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
do you remember these big old sort of like images of Mother Earth? She was like this fulsome, big-breasted woman.
You're stretching your hands like a little bit too far apart there for my liking.
Oh, my apologies. There you are.
Thank you very much.
Take it home.
Marvellous. I will.
And don't bother me again.